I, F33, have a son, 11, from my former relationship with my ex-husband. Currently I'm married to my husband, M37, Joe, who has a 15-year-old son. My son isn't that close to his stepbrother for many reasons including age, interests, hobbies, etc. My son likes to draw a lot. His stepbrother tends to rip his drawings whenever they get into a fight. Now siblings and step-siblings fight constantly, which is normal. What isn't normal is my stepson touching and ruining my son's drawings, which take time and effort and sometimes emotions. My stepson apologized every time he did it. And with the help of some boundaries I put in place, he no longer damages my son's drawings. I got my son a lock. Joe complained about me creating distance between the boys and suggested I should have let them resolve this between them. My son drew a picture of me, Joe, and him and showed it to us. Joe got extremely pissed when he saw it and started scolding my son for not including his stepbrother. I got involved and told him off, but he proceeded to rip up the picture in half, then into smaller and smaller pieces. My son started crying and I snapped and yelled at Joe asking WTH was wrong with him. He told my son to go upstairs because he was punished and his punishment won't be cancelled till he starts including his stepbrother in his drawings. I told him to stop, but he told me, "Stay out of it. You're the reason we're having this issue," and said that I made the boys resent each other by enabling my son's unjustified hatred for his stepbrother and setting boundaries. He kept air-counting this word that shouldn't be set between brothers. I reminded him of what his son has done that caused my son to exclude him. Then told him that none of us, even myself, have the right to demand to be included in anything my son draws. It's his own thing and he gets the final say. I then demanded that he apologize to my son immediately. Joe sarcastically clapped and then said that if I keep this up, then my son will grow up to be antisocial and soft. I went upstairs, leaving him ranting about how this was basically my fault. I stayed with my son till he calmed down. Joe told me that by expecting him to apologize, I'm not treating him as a parent and undermining his word. NTA. The first clue being the grown man acting the same way as the 15-year-old. And this won't get better. Yep. Notice how the toxic stepfather went ballistic the second she moved to protect her son's drawings. Hopefully she'll choose to actually protect her child and get him out of harm's way. NTA. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you really need to reconsider your second marriage. Both you husband and stepson are abusing your son. You didn't mention your son's dad. At 12 in most states the child can choose which parent to live with. You might lose custody and total visitation if you're not careful. I would not leave your son alone with either of them. This is not a small matter. Time to go. NTA. I'm going to say it. People that tear up children's art aren't good partners nor good parents. Like this incident will be discussed in your kids' future therapy sessions. I agree. I was in utter shock when I saw what he did. It took me some time to be able to process it. It hurt me as much as it hurt my son. Normally Joe is good to him. He even encourages him to keep drawing, and most of the tools my son has were bought, gifted from his stepdad. To be frank, I'm not even sure that my stepson was upset about this. So for Joe to say that this would make the boys hate each other is doubtful. You are NTA, but that man surely is. Evidently he doesn't see you as a suitable parent. Funnily enough, why would you want to teach him that he has to hide his valid feelings? Op. This man has got to go before your son begins to resent you. I understand and I'm well aware. Frankly, I didn't expect things to get this bad. I thought these were normal fights between step-siblings, but Joe's entire stance on it is what made me just break down and put my foot down. I may not have been able to see his point. I don't think he has a valid point, but I still think he's the one mishandling this entire situation. Your husband is abusive. Destroying property of any sort as part of conflict resolution is a huge red flag. Typically such abuse escalates to harming human beings. Find a way to get you and your son out of there safely. Joe needs to go. NTA. I honestly would end the relationship. Just me. I don't know how complicated things are, but nobody is gonna get away with doing that to my child and be talking very sarcastically and being a bully to both of you. I feel that way too. No one should treat a child that way. Can you imagine how he treats the kid when mom isn't there? She better think about that. You will be tar if you continue to subject your son to abuse from your husband and stepson. Greater than. And will wonder why her son goes no contact the minute he turns 18. Info. Why are you married to this guy? This is the way. Like I didn't read. Who rips a photo up a child made? I have a stack of papers I will never let go. Each a view of my child and how he feels. Listen to how he feels. If you don't draw a boundary around this and allow your son to continue to be abused by this man who is not his father and should not be allowed to punish in the first place, you will be tar. P.S. This is the hill to die on. PPSNTA yet. This. If any man treated my kids like this, he would be out the door with a foot up his ass. Now you know why your stepson is an abusive little sh*t. Because his father is too. NTA. NTA. But you need to set firm boundaries with your husband like you did your stepson. What he did was absolutely disgusting. Red flags everywhere. No wonder your stepson acts the way he does if he has that for a role model. The boundaries ship has sailed. She and her son need a divorce from this freak. NTA. Your husband is abusing your son and bold enough to do it right in front of you. First it's ripping pictures, then it will be ripping him. FK that. I honestly would not be leaving any child of mine alone ever with either of them. I would be lawyering up TBH. Stop tripping cats, man. That ain't cool. NTA. Holy shit. That man does not deserve to have any sort of parenting role in your son's life. NTA. No exaggeration here. This is a huge warning sign for you as well. I never encourage separation as it's nothing to sew with me, but alarm bells would be screaming at me here. Also, your son's drawings are his creativity and way of expressing himself. How would your charming sounding husband react if your son destroyed something that he had taken time to do if he found an exception to it? I'd have to think twice about being married to someone so insensitive and cruel. Your boy drew a picture without his abusive step-brother in it, and his SF proceeded to make sure we all know where he got his personality from. He also doesn't get to punish your son because he drew a picture without his brat kid in it. Geez. You have some huge issues here. NTA. NTA. And also, by the way, you need to get your son out of that house immediately. I am literally begging you to get a divorce. Say you married a blocked up as fuck toilet of a man without saying you married a blocked up as fuck toilet of a man. NTA. Your husband is awful and I'm sorry you hitched your wagon to a horse with no legs. More like hitched the wagon to a crippled ass. Joe is an asshole. He is treating your son like crap. Sure. You are defending him. But why are you exposing your son to these terrible people? The father and the son are bullying him and ripping up his drawings. NTA. But you will be in a hole as you continue to expose your son to these two bullies. Do not tolerate your partner mistreating your child, or his child mistreating your child. They sound like horrible people. YTA for allowing your husband and his son to torture your child. You get a choice here. You can choose your husband or you can choose your child, but you're gonna lose one of them. Yeah, I have to agree. The mom has a choice to leave. The son does not. Holy shit. NTA. Greater than, and said that I made the boys resent each other by enabling my son's unjustified hatred for his stepbrother and setting boundaries. He kept counting this word that shouldn't be set between brothers. And what the hell does he think doing what he did does? Create an environment of love and peace. At least now you see where stepson gets these learned behaviors. What an asshole. Wonder why his first marriage didn't work out. 'Cause this one doesn't seem to have a bright future either. NTA. Your husband is emotionally abusive and he's teaching his son to be the same way. Is there any other reasons why your son may not like his stepbrother? Maybe he has always been a bully towards your son, and the issues go beyond simply not liking the same activities. I would consider leaving this marriage and getting to a place that's better for you and your son. The comment about undermining his word is telling enough. I'm so sorry you're going through this. NTA for standing up for your son, but YWBTA if you stay with him. Your husband's behavior is horrible, hands down. He is an R for destroying your son's art and trying to force him to accept his stepbrother. You are the R for staying with a man who is cruel to your child and who condones his son tormenting him. Please get out for your son's sake. How much longer will you subject him to this? That's what I was thinking. Why is she still with him knowing that he's going to treat his kids like that? NTA. You have a right to set boundaries and protect your son. I assume you would also have set boundaries if it were the other way around. Your husband is the R for ripping the drawing. He's setting a bad example for your stepson. If dad can rip it, then I can as well. Red flag alert. Location flag. Be careful and keep an eye on the interaction between your son and your husband. This worries me, he might treat him bad after this event. NTA. This is a huge red flag. I think I hear divorce bells ringing. NTA. First off, art is not an inclusive activity. Art is an expressive activity. Stepdad knows that the kids don't get along and clearly doesn't know that he cannot fix the situation. When the stepbrother rips up the drawings when they fight, is there any punishment? Now that dad has shown ripping up drawing you don't like is an acceptable way of expressing yourself, everyone should get used to the new paradigm. This jerk needs to be called out for acting like a child.